You need to get up. This section isn't for you. The words were quiet, almost polite. That made them worse. Marcus Reed looked up slowly from his tablet, trying to understand what he had just heard. He was seated in 2A first class on a morning flight from San Diego to Chicago. Window seat. Seatbelt fastened. Tablet open to the final slide deck of his career. A $5 billion partnership meeting waited for him on the other end of the flight. Two airline security officers stood beside his row. One rested a hand near his radio. The other didn't look at Marcus's boarding pass. Didn't look at the seat number. He just looked at Marcus. Marcus asked calmly what the issue was. They said there had been a complaint. They said someone questioned whether he was supposed to be sitting there. They said it would be easier if he stepped off and sorted it out outside the cabin. A soft tension moved through first class. People noticed. People understood. Then people looked away. Marcus stayed seated for a moment longer than expected. Not defiant, measured. Then he stood slowly because he knew how hesitation gets framed when it comes from someone who looks like him. He reached down, pulled his bag from under the seat, and straightened his jacket. No one spoke up. No one asked what he had done wrong. No one asked to see his boarding pass. At the aircraft door, Marcus turned back once. 30 passengers, 30 people who saw what was happening, not one voice. He said quietly, "This isn't necessary." No one responded. The door closed behind him, and just like that, the airline believed the situation had been handled. They had no idea they had just made a very expensive mistake. Marcus Reed did not grow up expecting fairness. He grew up in Riverside, California, in an apartment where the heat failed every winter and excuses didn't matter. His mother worked double shifts in hospital administration. His father left early, leaving Marcus to learn how to carry himself before he understood why he had to. Marcus learned that tone mattered more than truth. That being calm kept situations from escalating. And that anger, especially from a black man, was always read as guilt. So he chose control. While other kids played games, Marcus dismantled broken electronics. Old routers, discarded laptops, anything with logic and flow. He wanted to understand systems, why things failed, why routes collapsed, why small assumptions caused big damage. By his mid-30s, he founded Atlas Ridge Technologies, a company no one talked about publicly but everyone depended on quietly. Predictive logistics, AI routing, systems that fixed problems before humans noticed them. Marcus didn't chase recognition, he chased reliability. By 47, Atlas Ridge was valued in the billions, and Marcus was finalizing the largest deal of his life. A $5 billion integration with a major U.S. Airlines cargo operation. This wasn't about luxury. It was about leverage. That was why he booked first class, for quiet, for focus, for preparation. But preparation doesn't protect you when someone decides you don't fit the picture. The moment that triggered everything didn't look dramatic. It looked ordinary, a woman boarded late, well-dressed. Confident, used to things working out for her, she stopped beside Marcus's row, looked at him. Then the seat number, then back at him again. She said, "I think you're in my seat." Marcus checked his boarding pass and replied evenly, "I'm in 2A." She hesitated, then said she must have been mistaken. No apology, just distance. A few minutes later, a flight attendant brought Marcus a glass of water. He thanked her. The cabin settled, or pretended to. Marcus heard the woman again near the front. She said he didn't answer her properly, that he just sat there and stared. That it felt strange. She said someone should check. Marcus didn't look up. He had heard this pattern before. Soon, footsteps moved down the aisle. Security walked straight to him. No hesitation, no confusion. They said, "We need you to step off the aircraft." Marcus asked why. They said they needed to verify his identity and seating. He reminded them his boarding pass had been scanned. His ID checked. Nothing had changed, except suspicion. The cabin went quiet again. A man across the aisle lifted his phone slightly. Someone else exhaled, relieved it wasn't them. Marcus stood, because he knew refusing would turn suspicion into accusation. On the jet bridge, the questions were short and cold. "What's your name? Reason for travel? Who do you work for?" Marcus answered calmly, "I'm the CEO of Atlas Ridge Technologies." One of the officers said he'd never heard of it. Marcus met his eyes and said, "Your airline has. You're about to sign a $5 billion contract with my company." The air shifted, not with respect, with fear. A supervisor arrived and said this appeared to be a misunderstanding. Marcus said no, this was profiling. They offered a later flight, a voucher, a meal credit, paper apologies. Marcus didn't take them. He walked back into the terminal alone, sat near the window, opened his laptop, not to complain, not to explain himself, but to decide. He replayed the moment again, the assumption, the silence, the ease with which he had been removed. This wasn't about a seat, it was about permission, who was assumed to belong and who had to prove it. Marcus wrote to his legal counsel first. Clear facts, no emotion. Then to his leadership team, he didn't use words like angry or humiliated. He used words like unacceptable and risk, because that's what this was now. A liability, a system failure. Then he searched for a different airline, one he had spoken to months earlier and politely declined. He typed one sentence. "Are you still open to continuing our conversation?" The reply came within the hour. The meeting the next morning took place in a private conference room overlooking downtown Chicago. Executives sat across from Marcus with practiced concern. They said they had heard about the incident. They said they were investigating. They said it didn't reflect their values. Marcus listened. Then he stood. He said this wasn't a customer service issue. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a cultural failure. He asked one question. "If I can be removed this easily, what happens to my engineers who look like me?" No one answered. Marcus said trust had been broken, and partnerships require alignment, not just profit. Then he showed them another logo. A competitor, one they all recognized. He said the other airline moved quickly. He said their board understood what was at stake. Someone accused him of overreacting. Marcus replied, "Correction isn't overreaction." He closed his laptop. He said if real change couldn't be guaranteed, the deal was done, not delayed. Ended, he walked out. No handshakes, no arguments, just clarity. That night, standing by a hotel window, Marcus took a call. The voice on the other end was different, direct, aware. They acknowledged what happened without minimizing it. They said they had work to do. They said they were ready to do it. Marcus asked one question. "If one of my people is questioned for being in the wrong place, will you stand behind them?" There was a pause, then a clear answer. "Yes." That was enough. 2 days later, the announcement went public. A $5 billion partnership. A different airline, a different future. The original airline released a statement soon after. Apologies, commitments, carefully polished words. It didn't change the outcome. Then the video surfaced, 30 seconds. Marcus walking down the aisle with his bag in hand. No resistance. No scene. The clip spread fast because it was familiar. At home, Marcus sat at the kitchen table while his daughter worked on homework. She asked how power moved through systems. Marcus said sometimes power is wasted fighting resistance, and sometimes it's smarter to redirect it. Later, Marcus posted a short message. He wrote that this was never about a seat. It was about systems that decide before they ask, that remove before they listen. He wrote that he didn't walk away from the deal out of anger. He walked away out of principle, because dignity should not require explanation. The message spread quietly, not because it was loud, because it was true. Marcus didn't claim to change the world. He didn't tear anything down. What he did was make silence uncomfortable. And sometimes that's where change begins. If you've ever been made to feel like you didn't belong in a place you earned, don't shrink. Don't over-explain. Don't carry the weight of someone else's assumptions. Use your clarity, use your position. And when you can, build systems that don't need permission to treat people right. Because the problem was never the seat. It was who they thought deserved to sit there.